Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is bouncing from critical short-term support as the price is now playing out a new signal in the short term that we need to pay attention to. So right now I am taking urgent action on my Bitcoin trade, which I'll talk about in just a moment, while Ethereum is still struggling around this level of resistance but is now running into critical short-term support as the price is still playing out this warning signal in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at the Bitcoin news today, and on Thursday we saw a decent inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, but like I said yesterday, we're starting to see the net inflows actually decline, because first of all, on Monday we saw a net inflow of around 237 million US dollars. On Tuesday we saw a net inflow over 300 million dollars. On Wednesday we saw a net inflow just over 150 million, and once again on Thursday we saw a net inflow of only just over 100 million. And so, like I said in my last video, this is starting to trend in the bearish direction, seeing less and less inflows. And if this continues, technically this is a bit of a bearish signal if we continue in this trend. But ultimately, if we're still seeing net inflows every day, of course, that is ultimately bullish for the price, especially over longer periods of time, because this is ultimately taking Bitcoin off the market. So this is going to lead to a supply shock if we continue to see net inflows every single day. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, this is on the 3-day time frame, and right now not much has changed on the 3-day Bitcoin chart. We are still looking very bullish in terms of the larger trend at play, because at least for now we're still technically forming higher lows and higher highs on the larger time frames, which is a bullish trend, which if we're talking about the larger time frames is also known as a bull market. And on top of that, we also have this hidden bullish divergence still playing out, as I've said, basically every day over the last couple of weeks. So once again, despite what happens in the short term, if we're zooming out on the larger timeframes, looking at the bigger picture, nothing has really changed over the last few days. And something similar can be said about this daily Bitcoin chart right here, because as of right now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is still currently looking more bullish than bearish. It has already reversed from bearish back into bullish, as I've been saying, basically every day over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And once again, if we're simply taking a look at the last couple of times this has happened in the daily Bitcoin RSI, this has usually resulted in a massive bullish move or bullish trend to the upside in the price of Bitcoin over the next few months. And obviously, we've already seen roughly around 2 to 3 weeks worth of a bullish trend here on the daily time frame. So simply based on what we've seen in the past, this could likely continue over the next few weeks or possibly over the next few months before the next correction or short-term bearish trend. But remember, this is talking about the larger timeframes, the larger moves in the market, not the short term. And so as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. For example, on the hour charts, we can flip between bullish and bearish basically every day. But when we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, nothing much changes on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we are now seeing in the DXY right now is indeed a drop back to the downside, at least in the short term. And so this is actually a good sign to see. This is a bullish signal for Bitcoin and crypto, at least in the short term, because like I said, over the last couple of days, we were starting to see a bit of a bounce back to the upside in the DXY. And exactly when that was happening, when we were seeing a bounce back to the upside in the DXY, we were seeing a short-term pullback in the price of Bitcoin. Because as we can see here, time and time again, when the DXY is moving in the bullish direction, that is almost always bearish for Bitcoin and crypto. But on the other hand, when the DXY is moving in the bearish direction, that is almost always bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. So once again, seeing this short-term pullback continue in the DXY, this is a good sign to see. And obviously, if this continues to the downside in the DXY, then of course that would likely cause a continued bullish trend in the price of Bitcoin moving forward. But once again, during these bullish trends on the daily time frame, these bullish trends can contain some short-term pullbacks here and there. That is very normal to see. Just like how during a short-term bearish trend, we can see some bounces back to the upside every now and again during a bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we are right now seeing in the price of Bitcoin is a bounce from this critical area of support based on previous resistance, sitting in between around 67,000 to 68,000. And so obviously this is a bullish sign to see. This is a good thing for Bitcoin if we can actually hold this area of support. Because like I said in my last video, if we were to actually confirm daily candle closes below 67,000, then in that case, we could likely retrace all the way back down towards around 63 to 64,000, which is why this area is very important for the price to hold above, at least when we're talking about the shorter term. And at least as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is doing that. And so if the price of Bitcoin sees a further bounce from this area of support, then it's possible that the price of Bitcoin may just be in a choppy sideways price range for the time being, just in the short term, in between this area of support and this area of resistance. And in case you're new to this channel, this area of resistance is still sitting in between around 72,000 to 74,000 based on previous resistance. And that's pretty much exactly where we recently saw a rejection from, basically exactly from 72,000. And so those are the important areas to pay attention to as of right now on the daily Bitcoin chart, at least in the shorter term. But if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 1 hour Bitcoin chart, first of all, a couple of days ago on the channel, I shared this triangle pattern, which then broke to the downside. And as I said, even before we broke to the downside, I said, if we break that support, expect to move down towards around 66.9K. And what came next was a move exactly to that price target. And then we actually found support exactly at that area, which is what I talked about before it even happened. But what we are now seeing, now that we have already hit that short-term bearish price target, we've already bounced from this area of support that I've been talking about over the last few days, we are now seeing a new bullish divergence play out on the 1 hour time frame. Because as of right now, the price of Bitcoin has already confirmed lower lows in the price in the candle closes, while also confirming higher lows in the 1 hour Bitcoin RSI, which basically means we're likely going to see reduced bearish momentum. And this usually plays out in the form of either a bullish relief or at the very least a sideways consolidation, basically choppy sideways price action. And obviously, as of right now, at the time of recording this video, this short-term bullish divergence is already playing out in the form of a bullish relief, at least for now. And so due to the fact that we have this new bullish divergence now playing out on the 1 hour time frame that could potentially continue to play out, at least just in the short term, as in over the next day or so, and also considering the fact that we already hit this short-term bearish price target exactly as expected, and we're now bouncing from this critical area of support, due to those reasons in the short term, I have actually just added to my Bitcoin long position, which if you watched my last video, my last couple of videos, this was a 180K Bitcoin long position. But as you can see on the left-hand side, this is now back to a 200K Bitcoin long position. So I've added a little bit to this long position right around these local lows as the price was forming this bullish divergence. And as of right now, my stop loss is still sitting well into profits above my overall average entry price. And also, I have already taken some profits off the table previously from this trade. So basically, in the worst case scenario, if we were to just continue this pullback and crash back to the downside, then in that worst case scenario, I've already taken some profits, and that will just hit my stop loss in profits to close the remainder of the trade in profits. And I've been very transparent with this Bitcoin long position, basically step by step every single day since I began entering into the trade below $60,000. And so if you're new to the channel, it's definitely important to subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I actually share these trading opportunities where you could potentially make a lot of easy money, as I'm doing right now. And if you want to actually take these trades for yourself, then personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position just by making a Bybit account using that link, making a deposit and claiming their airdrop. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can actually see a lot of new liquidity starting to build to the upside at around 70.7k to 70.9k. And so it is quite likely that the price could be drawn towards that area in the short term sometime soon, because once again, there's a lot of liquidity at that area. And once the price crosses above around 70.9k, then that will liquidate hundreds of millions of dollars worth of short positions that potentially entered a little bit late here, shorting this move to the downside, because obviously the place to short Bitcoin right here was to enter a short around the break to the downside from this triangle pattern to trade the move to the downside and take profits or close the short position around this price target, which I mentioned over the last couple of days. But because I was already in a larger swing long position, what I did instead was just take some profits around these highs right here and added to the position around here. But with that being said, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, and before getting into the charts, we need to talk about the Ethereum news today, because just yesterday, as soon as I posted my last video here on the channel just yesterday, this news came out, which by the way, I tweeted in real time just minutes after this news came out. So if you want to get extra real-time updates throughout the day, check out my Twitter link down below this video. But in case you do not follow me over on my Twitter, yes, the SEC has now officially approved the spot ETH ETFs, the spot Ethereum ETFs in the US. And so this is a big step forward for Ethereum and really the overall crypto market. This is very bullish when we're talking about the longer term. But of course, in the somewhat shorter term, it was a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news, because as soon as the rumor came out that it was actually getting more and more likely that the ETFs will get approved, we saw this massive pump around half a week ago. And around 3 days ago on the channel, half a week ago, I did actually talk about the Ethereum ETFs becoming more likely that would actually get approved, which is why we saw this pump right here. But obviously, as soon as we actually saw the ETFs got approved, we did see a little bit of a short-term pullback just in the short term for the price. But overall, over the long term, this is still very bullish. But we need to keep in mind that even though the spot ETH ETFs have now been approved in the US by the SEC, there's still going to be probably a few weeks before they actually begin trading. So they are not trading right now. And so that basically means, at least for now, this is still news. We're not actually experiencing any effects from the spot Ethereum ETFs because they're not even trading, at least not yet. But once again, potentially in a few weeks from now, they could begin trading in the US. And if we see significant net inflows into the spot Ethereum ETFs, like what we saw for Bitcoin back in February and March, we saw significant net inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And during those months, when we were seeing significant net inflows, like billions of dollars a day coming into the Bitcoin ETFs, we saw the price of Bitcoin basically double in 2 months. And so once again, when the ETFs eventually start trading, which could be in a few weeks from now, we could potentially see significant bullish price action for Ethereum if we're seeing significant net inflows into the Ethereum ETFs. But at least for now, this breakout to the upside for this bullish falling wedge is still technically active with a bullish price target at around 40.70. And as always, this price target and this pattern and this breakout would only invalidate if we see a breakback below the point of the breakout. So basically a breakback below around 3.2k. And if we're taking a look at that 8-hour time frame, what we are now seeing after a further rejection from this exact Fibonacci level that I've been talking about over the last half a week, which once again is sitting at around 38.20, acting as resistance. But what we are now seeing is actually support and a bit of a bounce from this Fibonacci area of support, which was previous resistance, sitting in between 3.6k to 36.50. So once again, as I've already been saying over the last few days, that is the short-term area of support to pay attention to, which the price is currently bouncing from at the time of recording this video. But if we see a breakback below around 3.6k with candle closes below that level, then in that case, the next important support is sitting at around 34.50, and below that we have more support at around 3.3k. But obviously, at least for now, we're still finding support in this price range that I just mentioned earlier, acting as support. And as for resistance, if we see a further bounce back to the upside and a breakout above these highs right here, then in that case, we'll likely see a continued move up towards these previous highs, sitting just underneath 4.1k. But at least in the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, we still technically have a bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart, with higher highs confirmed in the price in the candle closes and lower highs confirmed in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And so once again, this is basically the exact opposite as to what we saw around a week ago. We previously saw a bullish divergence, which played out in the form of a bullish relief in the short term. And so far, this bearish divergence has already been playing out over the last 1 day in the form of a short-term pullback. But technically, it is still currently active, which means it could continue to play out potentially over the next few days. And as always, a bearish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of either a short-term pullback or some choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes. And in order to invalidate this bearish divergence, we'll need to see some sort of reversal back in the bullish direction in the RSI, like for example, a breakout above this line of resistance right here, or ideally a breakout into new higher highs in the RSI to invalidate this bearish divergence. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, and right now, obviously that short-term pullback and rejection continued over the last 1 day. But as of right now, we're finding a bit of support in this price range in between around 167 to 172. And we also have this level of previous resistance, which should act as new support at around 160. And that level right there at $160 for the price of Solana is very important, because if we were to see a break back below 160 with candle closes back below that level, then that would invalidate this breakout for this inverse head and shoulders pattern and invalidate this bullish price target, which by the way is still sitting at around $208. And in that case, if we broke back below 160 with confirmation, then the next significant area of support is sitting in between around 140 to 144. And below that, we also have another significant area of support in between 120 to 128. But of course, between the current price and this technical price target to the upside, there's still areas of resistance along the way where the price can struggle at, as we've just seen recently. And this area of resistance is still sitting at around 182 to 186 approximately. And this area of resistance is sitting in between around $200 to $210. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to take these trades, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.